The summer of 2024 in Tucson, Arizona was a merciless beast. The heat so thick it seemed to choke the air itself. The sun scorched the earth, turning the desert into a shimmering haze, like the world was dissolving at its edges. My name's Jake, and I just poured my life savings into a crumbling single-story house on the outskirts of town, where the suburbs surrendered to a sea of scrub and saguaro. The realtor called it secluded, a bargain for the price. I called it freedom from the city's clamor. But I didn't know freedom could feel like a cage, or that the desert held eyes that never blinked. It started with the footprints. I found them one morning in early July, dragging the trash bin to the curb, my boots crunching on the gravel drive. A single set of tracks, deep, heavy, like work boots, pressed into the dust just beyond my back fence. They didn't lead anywhere, just stopped, as if someone had stood there all night staring at my house. A chill crawled up my spine, sharp against the morning heat. I told myself it was kids, sneaking through from the arroyo a half-mile off, playing pranks. But the prints were too precise, too still, like they'd been carved into the earth. I kicked dirt over them, locked the gate, and tried to ignore the unease settling in my gut. By morning, they were back. Same spot, same tread, same unnatural stillness, as if the desert itself had summoned them. I walked the perimeter, sweat stinging my eyes, searching for a trail. Tire marks, snap mesquite, anything. The ground was blank beyond that one patch, the desert refusing to betray its secrets. That night, sleep was a stranger. The silence outside was too heavy, like the world was holding its breath. I lay in bed, the ceiling fan clicking like a countdown, when I heard it. A faint scrape like leather dragging across stone. My heart lurched. I grabbed the baseball bat from under my bed, my palms slick, and crept to the back door. The backyard was empty, bathed in moonlight, the saguaro's shadows clawing at the ground like skeletal hands. But those footprints were there again, deeper now, as if the earth was buckling under an impossible weight. I called the sheriff the next day, my voice tight with frustration. 2 deputies showed up, their boots scuffing my drive as they scanned the yard with bored eyes. "Probably a drifter," one said, chewing a toothpick, squinting at the horizon like it might confess. "Lock your doors, maybe get a dog." I wanted to scream. A dog wouldn't fix this. Their dismissal left me hollow, anger curdling into dread. That night, I dug out an old trail camera from my hunting days, rigging it to face the fence. At 3:02 a.m., the motion sensor's shrill beep tore me from a restless doze. My hands shook as I pulled up the footage. There he was, a man, tall in a tattered jacket, standing just beyond the fence. His face was shadowed, but his eyes caught the infrared, glinting like wet glass in a forgotten well. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. Through the camera, through the walls, into the core of me. Sleep abandoned me after that. I bought floodlights and a shotgun, the kind my dad kept for coyotes back in Nevada. I wasn't a gun guy, but its weight was the only thing that felt solid, anchoring me against the fear gnawing my insides. I checked the camera every morning, and every night he was there. 3:02 a.m., same spot, same unblinking stare. During the day I felt him, a pressure at the base of my skull, like a storm brewing behind my eyes. I'd catch myself staring at the backyard, expecting his silhouette against the searing blue sky, but it was always empty. Just those footprints, mocking me, fresh each dawn, as if the desert was rewriting itself to taunt me. By the 15th day, I was unraveling. The heat pressed harder, the air thick with the scent of creosote and baked earth. I couldn't eat, food tasted like dust, sticking in my throat. My reflection in the bathroom mirror looked wrong, gaunt, shadowed, like I was fading into the desert itself. That night, I snapped. I grabbed the shotgun, flipped on the floodlights, and stormed into the backyard. The beams cut harsh angles across the scrub, making the cacti look like sentinels guarding some ancient secret. "Who's out there?" I shouted, my voice raw, swallowed by the vastness. The desert answered with silence, heavy and accusing. I stepped past the fence, into the wild, following the footprints. They led deeper than I expected, winding through mesquite and cholla, thorns snagging my jeans like desperate fingers. My house's lights shrank to a faint glow, the desert stretching endless under a sky heavy with cold, unblinking stars. Then I saw him. 50 yards off, a silhouette blacker than the night, standing still as death itself. My mouth went dry, my tongue a useless lump. "Hey," I yelled. raising the shotgun, my arms trembling under its weight. He didn't flinch. I took a step, then another, my boots crunching louder than they should, each sound a gunshot in the quiet. He turned, slow, deliberate, and started walking away. I don't know why I followed, fear, rage, or some primal pull, but my legs moved before my brain could argue. The air grew heavy, pressing against my chest, thick with the tang of dust and something sour, like decay. He moved fast, too fast, his form flickering at the edges like a mirage caught in a loop. I ran, the shotgun a dead weight, my lungs screaming with every breath. The desert seemed to warp, looping me through the same patch of cacti and rock, the stars spinning above like a carousel gone mad. Time broke out there. Hours, minutes, it didn't matter. My legs burned, my vision blurred, but I couldn't stop. The ground itself seemed to pull me, trapping me in an endless chase through a landscape that refused to change. I stumbled, gasping, my knees hitting the dirt, and realized I was back at my fence. The footprints were fresh, but now they led into my backyard, toward my porch. My stomach twisted, bile rising in my throat. I spun around, and there he was, standing at the edge of my porch, his eyes gleaming like oil slicks under the floodlights. The air felt wrong, heavy, like it was pressing me into the earth, pinning me under his gaze. I raised the shotgun, my hands slick with sweat, fingers trembling on the trigger. "Get out!" I screamed, my voice tearing at my throat. He took a step forward, and the world tilted. The floodlights buzzed, flickering, and in that split second I saw his face, pale, hollow, with eyes that weren't eyes, just black pits that seemed to drink the light, pulling at my soul. I fired. The blast roared, echoing off the desert, but he didn't fall. He dissolved, like ash curling into the wind, leaving nothing but a ringing silence that pressed against my eardrums. I ran inside, bolted the door, and sat with the shotgun across my lap until dawn, my breath shallow, my heart a frantic drum. The footprints were gone by morning, but the relief I craved never came. I felt stained, like something had burrowed into my bones, rooting me to this place. Desperate for answers, I drove to the county library, the truck's AC wheezing against the heat. I pored over old records, my fingers smudged with dust from yellowed pages, my eyes burning from lack of sleep. After hours, I found it. A 1983 article about Samuel Kerr, a drifter killed in a bar fight a mile from my property. His photo was grainy, but those eyes, those glinting, hollow eyes were burned into my memory. He'd squatted on this land, living in a shack where my house now stood. The article quoted him, drunk and raving, swearing he'd never leave, that the desert was his forever. His blood soaked into its dust. I tried to escape after that. Packed a bag, jumped in my truck and floored it, the tires kicking up clouds of dust that hung in the air like ghosts. The road stretched on, the desert blurring past, but hours later, I was back at my house. The odometer hadn't moved, the gas gauge unchanged. I tried again the next day, then the next, driving until my hands cramped on the wheel, my eyes stinging with sweat and despair. Same result. The desert wouldn't let me go. At night, he was closer, on my porch, then at my window, his breath fogging the glass though he had no face to breathe with. I boarded the windows, kept the lights on, and whispered prayers I hadn't said since I was a kid, my voice trembling in the dark. But prayers don't work when you're already damned. I started seeing him inside. A flicker in the hallway, a shadow on the stairs, a creak where no one should be. The air grew thick, like I was breathing through wet cloth, every inhale a struggle. My dreams were worse, endless deserts, his cold hand on my shoulder, his voice rasping my name like gravel underfoot, each syllable a weight. One night, I couldn't take it. I grabbed a shovel and started digging in the backyard, right where the footprints always appeared. I needed something real, something to fight, something to break this curse. The ground was hard, my muscles screaming, but I kept going, dirt caking my hands, my breath ragged with panic and exhaustion. At 5 feet down, I hit a wooden box. Rotted and splintered, the wood soft as damp cardboard. Inside was a rusted knife, its blade pitted with age, and a locket with a faded photo of a woman, her eyes kind but heavy with grief, her face blurred at the edges. I clutched it, my heart pounding, hoping it was the key to ending this. He appeared then, right behind me, a cold weight pressing against my spine, heavier than the desert itself. I turned, and he was inches away, his face clearer now, gaunt, with skin like cracked leather, his mouth a jagged slash that seemed to grin and snarl at once. "Mine," he rasped, pointing at the locket, his voice like wind through dead branches, low and endless. I threw it at him, screaming, my voice breaking, and bolted for the house. The door slammed, but I heard him, scratching, pacing, whispering my name through the walls, the sound worming into my skull. I burned the locket the next day, the flames smelling wrong, acrid like burning bone and regret. The footprints returned, deeper, angrier, like he was clawing his way up from the earth's core. I tried salt, sage, every ritual I found online, my hands shaking as I sprinkled lines across the threshold, my voice hoarse from chanting words I didn't believe. Nothing worked. He was the land, the dust, the heat. He was in me, a shadow stitched to my soul. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping. My reflection wasn't mine anymore. His hollow eyes stared back, bleeding into mine, my face thinning to match his. Last night he stood at the foot of my bed, motionless, his presence a weight I couldn't shake. I closed my eyes, but I felt him, eternal, unyielding, his gaze pulling at my core, unraveling me thread by thread. I'm writing this because someone needs to know. I can't leave. The desert won't let me. Samuel Kerr won't let me. If you're reading this, stay away from 47 Saguaro Lane, Tucson. The house is cheap for a reason, and if you see footprints in the dust, don't follow them. Don't look back. He's already there, watching, waiting for you to step into his desert, where the stars never move and the night never ends.